Have you ever noticed your grandmother's favorite sweater hanging looser on her shoulders? Or perhaps your father, who once filled every room with his booming voice, now speaks in whispers? These moments might feel like ordinary signs of aging, but sometimes they're whispers from the heart, gentle signals that something deeper is happening. I understand how overwhelming it can feel when someone you love begins to change before your eyes. The truth is, our bodies often send us quiet messages months, sometimes even a full year before life reaches its final chapter. Most families miss these tender signals because they arrive so softly, like autumn leaves falling one by one. It's only when we look back that we realize the story our loved one's body was trying to tell us. Today, I want to walk alongside you through 5 gentle signs that often appear in an elderly person's final year. These aren't meant to frighten you. They're meant to prepare your heart and help you treasure every precious moment you have left together. When we understand what's happening, we can wrap our loved ones in comfort, create meaningful memories, and ensure their journey is filled with all the love and dignity they deserve. Let's explore these signs together with open hearts and gentle understanding. Sign 1. When food no longer calls to them. Picture this: your mother, who once cooked Sunday dinners for 12 and always had room for dessert, suddenly pushes her plate away after just a few bites. Her clothes begin to hang differently, and that belt she's worn for years needs new notches. At first, you might think she's just being careful about her weight, or maybe she's not feeling well today. But when days turn into weeks and favorite meals go untouched, something deeper may be unfolding. Unintentional weight loss is often one of the first gentle signals that a person's body is preparing for its final transition. It's not about willpower or appetite. It's about the body's wisdom, slowly redirecting its energy toward what matters most in these precious final months. Think of your loved one's body like an old, cherished house. Over time, the pipes don't carry water quite as efficiently, and the furnace doesn't heat every room the same way. Similarly, an aging body may struggle to absorb nutrients the way it once did. Muscles that took decades to build begin to fade, not from lack of trying, but because the body is choosing a different path. You might notice your loved one's sense of taste changing too. Foods that once brought joy, perhaps your father's beloved morning coffee or your aunt's famous chocolate cake, suddenly taste different or hold no appeal. This isn't stubbornness, it's physiology. The body, in its quiet wisdom, begins to need less fuel as it prepares for rest. Sometimes underlying conditions like heart disease, kidney problems, or even depression contribute to this change. The body becomes like a garden in late autumn, naturally slowing its growth and conserving its resources for what's most essential. I know it's heartbreaking to watch someone you love grow thinner, despite your best efforts to tempt them with their favorite foods. You might find yourself saying, "Just one more bite, please," or preparing elaborate meals hoping to spark their interest. While these gestures come from profound love, remember that sometimes the greatest gift is simply sitting beside them, sharing presence rather than pressure. Have you noticed changes in your loved one's appetite or weight? How did you respond, and what helped you both navigate this tender time? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might comfort another family walking this same path. Sign 2. When every step feels like a mountain. Do you remember when your grandfather could work in his garden all morning and still have energy for an afternoon walk? Now perhaps watching him struggle to make it from the bedroom to the kitchen breaks your heart. That bone-deep exhaustion that no amount of rest seems to touch. It's not laziness, and it's not giving up. It's the body's way of saying, "I'm saving my strength for what matters most." This isn't the tired feeling you get after a long day at work. This is fatigue that settles into the bones, making even the simplest tasks feel like climbing mountains. Getting dressed becomes an accomplishment. Having a conversation feels like running a marathon. Your loved one might sleep longer, need frequent naps, or seem to fade in and out of alertness throughout the day. Imagine their body as a smartphone phone with a battery that's slowly losing its ability to hold a charge. Where once it could power through a full day of activities, now it needs to be more selective about where it spends its energy. The heart doesn't pump with the same vigor. Blood doesn't carry oxygen quite as efficiently to eager muscle. Every movement requires more effort than it used to. What makes this particularly difficult is watching someone who was once fiercely independent suddenly need help with tasks they've done effortlessly for decades. Your strong, capable mother might struggle to lift a coffee cup. Your father, who once changed car tires with ease, might need assistance standing up from his favorite chair. The emotional weight of this change can be crushing, both for them and for you. They might feel frustrated, embarrassed, or sad about their limitation. You might feel helpless, wishing you could somehow transfer your energy to them. This is the time to practice a different kind of love, one that honors their pace, celebrates small moments of connection, and offers presence without expectation. Instead of encouraging them to push through it or try harder, consider this. What if their rest is exactly what they need? What if these quiet moments are preparing them for peace? Sometimes the most loving thing we can do is simply be still with them, holding space for whatever they're experiencing. When did you first notice your loved one's energy changing? How did you adjust your expectations and find new ways to connect? Your insights could help other families embrace this difficult transition with grace. Sign 3. When their world becomes quieter. Sarah used to call her daughter every morning at 8 a.m. sharp, ready to discuss everything from the weather to neighborhood gossip. Lately, those calls have become shorter, with longer pauses between words. Sometimes Sarah forgets they spoke just yesterday, or she can't quite remember her grandson's name. Her daughter wonders, is this normal aging or something more? Cognitive changes in an elderly person's final year often arrive like morning fog, slowly, subtly, until one day you realize the landscape has completely shifted. Your sharp, witty loved one might stop forgetting familiar faces or become confused in spaces they've navigated for years. They might repeat the same story 3 times in one conversation or lose track of what day it is. This happens because the brain, like every other organ, needs a steady supply of oxygen and nutrients to function at its best. As circulation slows and the body redirects its resources, thinking becomes cloudier. It's like trying to tune into a radio station that's gradually moving out of range. Sometimes the signal is clear, sometimes it's fuzzy, and sometimes it fades entirely. You might also notice your loved one withdrawing emotionally. The person who once lit up every room might now prefer sitting quietly, speaking less, engaging minimally in conversations that once energized them. This isn't rejection, it's conservation. Social interaction, while meaningful, requires energy they may no longer have in abundance. Their moods might shift in unexpected ways, too. Someone who is always patient might become easily irritated. A naturally social person might seem indifferent to visitors. Others become unusually calm or detached from situations that would have once sparked strong reactions. These changes can feel like losing pieces of the person you've always known. The hardest part? Feeling like you're saying goodbye to their personality before saying goodbye to them. But here's a gentle truth. Even when words become difficult and memories fade, the love between you remains. Your presence still matters. Your voice still comforts. Your touch still speaks the language of connection that goes deeper than cognition. Rather than trying to pull them back into the world they're leaving, consider meeting them where they are now. Speak softly. Move slowly. Create an environment that feels safe and familiar. Sometimes a gentle hand on their shoulder says more than any conversation could. Have you watched a loved one's memory or personality change during their final months? What helped you connect with them in new ways? Share your story. Other families need to hear that they're not alone in navigating these tender waters. Sign 4. When their body struggles to heal. Margaret's family became concerned when a small scratch on her arm took weeks to heal. What should have been a minor annoyance became a persistent wound that refused to close. Around the same time, she caught 3 different infections in 2 months, something that would have been unthinkable just a year earlier when she rarely got sick. When our bodies prepare for life's final chapter, one of the most noticeable changes is a weakened immune system. Think of immunity like a security system that's been faithfully carefully protecting a home for decades. Over time, some sensors become less sensitive, response times slow down, and what once would have been quickly resolved now requires much more time and attention. You might notice your loved one catching every cold that passes through the family. Pneumonia, urinary tract infections, and skin infections become frequent visitors. Even more concerning, these illnesses don't respond to treatment the way they used to. Antibiotics that once worked like magic now seem less effective. Recovery takes longer, and sometimes infections return just weeks after seemingly being cured. Here's something that often surprises families. Infections in elderly people don't always look like what we expect. Instead of a high fever or obvious symptoms, you might simply notice increased confusion, unusual fatigue, or loss of appetite. Your usually oriented loved one might suddenly not recognize where they are, or someone who typically eats well might refuse all food for a day or two. Poor circulation also means that simple cuts, bruises, or scrapes heal much more slowly than they should. Blood flow to the skin and tissues becomes less efficient, so the body can't deliver the oxygen and nutrients needed for quick repair. Pressure sores become a significant concern, especially for those spending more time in bed or in chairs. This is often when families find themselves caught between hope and acceptance. Each new infection brings trips to the doctor, courses of antibiotics, and the exhausting cycle of treatment. While medical care remains important, this is also the time to consider what healing means. Sometimes the greatest healing comes not from curing every ailment, but from ensuring comfort, dignity, and peace. Have you noticed your loved one struggling with frequent infections or slow healing? How did you balance medical treatment with comfort care? Your experience could guide other families facing similar difficult decisions. Sign 5. When breath becomes a sacred rhythm. Listen closely the next time you sit with your elderly loved one. Do you hear their breathing? Has it changed from the steady, barely noticeable rhythm it once was? Perhaps now their breaths come more slowly, with longer pauses between inhales and exhales. Maybe their breathing speeds up and slows down in patterns that seem almost musical. Deep breaths followed by gentle pauses, like the natural rhythm of ocean waves. Changes in breathing and circulation are often among the most profound signs that a person's body is preparing for its final transition. Your loved one might develop what's called Cheyne-Stokes breathing, a pattern where breathing gradually increases and then decreases, followed by periods of no breathing at all. While this can be alarming to witness, it's often the body's natural way of finding peace. You might also notice their hands and feet feeling cooler to the touch even on warm days. Their skin might take on a slightly bluish tint, especially around the fingertips and toes. This happens because their heart, like a faithful engine that's been running for decades, is gradually slowing down. Blood flow prioritizes the most essential organs, naturally reducing circulation to the extremity. Simple activities that were once effortless now leave them breathless. Your father might need to pause halfway through a sentence to catch his breath. Your mother might prefer sleeping propped up on pillows because lying flat makes breathing more difficult. These aren't signs of panic or distress, they're signs of transition. Sometimes fluid builds up in the lungs, creating sound that might worry you, gentle gurgling or a persistent cough. While this can be uncomfortable, it's often manageable with proper positioning, cool air, or sometimes medical support to ease their breathing. As a family member witnessing these changes, your instinct might be to encourage deeper breaths or worry that they're not getting enough air. But in many cases, this altered breathing is exactly what their body needs. Your role shifts from trying to fix to simply being present, offering the comfort of your voice, your touch, and your unwavering love. What changes in breathing or circulation have you noticed in your loved one? How did you provide comfort during these moments? Share your insight to help other families understand this sacred part of the journey. A heart-to-heart about the path ahead. As we reach the end of our conversation today, I want you to take a deep breath and know that if you're recognizing these signs in someone you love, you're not alone. Significant weight loss, profound fatigue, cognitive changes, frequent infections, and altered breathing patterns. These 5 gentle signals often whisper to us in the months before a person's final goodbye. I understand the complex emotions you might be feeling right now. now. There might be sadness, fear, or even relief at finally having words for what you've been witnessing. Perhaps you're feeling guilty for not noticing sooner, or overwhelmed by the responsibility of caring for someone in decline. These feelings are not only normal, they're a testament to how deeply you love. Here's what I want you to remember. Recognizing these signs isn't about giving up hope or accepting defeat. It's about shifting our focus from fighting the inevitable to embracing what remains possible. Instead of exhausting energy trying to reverse changes that may be part of a natural process, we can pour that same energy into creating moments of connection, comfort, and profound love. This is your invitation to be present in a completely different way, to sit quietly and listen to their stories, even if they repeat them, to hold their hand when words become difficult, to create an environment filled with their favorite music, familiar scents, and the voices of people who matter most. These final months and weeks aren't just about preparing for goodbye. They're about celebrating a life fully lived and love fully shared. Your voice matters here. Your story, your struggles, and your wisdom matter deeply to this community. In the comments below, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these signs resonated most with your own experience? What unexpected moments of beauty or connection have you discovered during this difficult time? What advice would you give to another family just beginning this journey? How has understanding these signs changed the way you care for your loved one? Every comment you share becomes a beacon of hope for another family walking this path. Your vulnerability creates permission for others to be honest about their own struggle. Your insights might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If this article brought you comfort, clarity, or simply the relief of knowing you're not alone, please consider sharing it with someone who might need these words. Hit that share button and spread this gentle guidance to families who might be silently wondering what they're witnessing in their own loved ones. And if you'd like to continue receiving compassionate, practical support for life's most challenging moments, subscribe to join our community. Together, we're creating a space where difficult conversations become possible, where love guides us through loss, and where no family has to navigate these tender times alone. Thank you for trusting me with your precious time today. Thank you for the love you're pouring into someone who needs it most. And thank you for being exactly the kind of person who seeks understanding so you can love more deeply. Until we meet again, hold your loved ones close and remember, every moment of love matters, especially the quiet one. With deep respect and warm wishes for your journey ahead.